I think one of the biggest ways that fostering has challenged me is to give me more compassion. I'm not a very compassionate person. I'm used to dealing with teenagers and young adults, so I just I deal with my own children, my own 2-year-old, that same way. I speak to him like he's 14. I have to remind myself that he's only 2. Um, so it's really helped me become a lot more compassionate, both for the parents as well as the children. And to be honest, I know sometimes when you think, like, people think, oh, the parents are so bad. No, not always. Sometimes the parents are just in a rough spot, made a couple poor, bad choices, and they just need you. And it's really helped me to see things a whole different way because, like I said, we're friends with one of our parents, just like y'all are. And so it's kind of more be compassionate. When a child comes to my home, I don't assume anything anymore. And I think when we went into foster care, I had a lot of these assumptions about what these kids were going to be like, these parents were going to be like, but it's not always the case. So it's really helped me to kind of change my view on the way I see people, even outside of my foster experience. So it's helped me be a lot more compassionate towards people and understanding, and it's helped me soften a lot as a person. I'm not a very soft, I'm like rub dirt on it and go get out there kind of person, so it's really helped soften me. And I think it's helped my marriage a lot too, because I'm a lot softer as a wife. So I think it's really helped our marriage grow, because you are thrown with all these challenges, and as a couple you have to figure out how you're going to deal with it. And there's days where he has bad days and I have to pick him up, and there's days where I'm having bad days and he has to pick me up. So I think it's just a really neat experience. You get to be involved in so many people's lives, and people that you probably never would have met or encountered, and just watching these children. I mean, the kids we have in our home now, I mean, they just bring us so much joy, and you find this sense of pride in them, like, you know, and it's just an experience that, you know, sometimes you don't even really sometimes have with your own children. It's a little bit different, and yeah, it's just really cool how you can grow to love someone so much that you did not bear, that you did not have in your belly, but you can love them so much just the same and want the best for them, whether that's with us or if the best for them is with their parents, whether the best for them is with the grandparent. And it's like you just come to love that child so much where you just want the best for them, and you just have to selflessly look back and say, selfless. That's what I've become a lot more. You just have to look back and say, you know what, what's best for this child, and I'm going to love them in that. And it's really softened my heart a lot.
I would completely agree with the selfless thing. You meet the child for the first time and you're like, I am so in love with you. You're meant to be my child. I am your mommy. This is your daddy. And you kind of like make believe in your head about what the future is going to be like, and it doesn't end up that way all the time. And whenever it doesn't end up the way that you want it, per se, you really do, the Lord really just like turns a mirror and makes you look at your heart, and that's not how the Father's heart is. His heart is, I don't know how to say, his heart is selfless. It's not anything in return for him. It's just, you know, he loves us unconditionally no matter what we do. He doesn't expect anything from us in return, and so it's very difficult, but it's also, you know, the Father's just like shaping us to like look more like him in that way, I would say, to just love with no expectations. And I would say for our marriage, it's also helped us to learn like more like teamwork, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
We're definitely more of a team because we have to be on the same page about everything.
Right.
And so it's definitely helped us learn that.
I love what you said about the Father's heart, and like, I can't help but think about how messy we are as sinners, and like how complicated and messy it was for God to bring us into his family by Jesus dying on the cross. Like, that was not a clean, pretty picture. And like, kids are messy, and kids that come from trauma are messier. Like, and that's just how it works. And I think for me, we're very new into this, but I have found myself in scripture more in the last few weeks than I have been in a long time, just because, and I'm a seminary student. I mean, like, that just says something. Like, our little girl has a really hard time sleeping, and she just has a lot of anxiety, and so sometimes we just sit in her doorway while she falls asleep because she just doesn't want to be left alone, or we'll sit on her bed with her, and I just sit there and read scripture, because I'm like, well, I gotta do something. Like, I can't just sit here or I'll find myself just praying. And I think it's just brought me, like, you start to realize like how much you can't do it. Like, everybody's like, oh, I can never do that, but I'm like, I can't either. Like, I have to have Jesus to like guide me through it. And so it's been like, I find myself sometimes like stepping out of the room for a minute just to calm down. And just take a deep breath, whether it's my foster child or my biological child. And I like find myself just praying, like, Lord, I just need patience for a minute. And he gives it to me. And so, and I think too, just having biological children, what your biological children bring to the table is what you give them, because their DNA comes from you and your husband. Versus a foster child, like, they bring to the table all kinds of new things that are, good and bad, just like your biological children. But our foster child has brought out so much laughter and joy in our biological son. And it has been the sweetest thing to just see a different side of him, because we've introduced her into our lives. And so just in general, just seeing the joy that comes with bringing someone into your home that would have never happened. Like, that would have never happened with just biological children. So that's been really cool.
And I think too, some people that have biological children would say, oh, well, it's not fair to my child for me to bring this other child. They're going to require so much attention or all this stuff. But I mean, our situation's different because our foster children have grown up with my son, but there's a bond there, and they do. They it's so cool to see how children bond with other children. And I mean, it's almost not fair to not allow your children to experience another child in their home that does, like you said, bring different things and bring different things out in them. And I don't know, I think it almost makes your family richer, because you do have different backgrounds and different things that you would never have really had to address with your own children, but now you have the opportunity to kind of address that, and you have opportunities to grow through that. And I think it kind of makes your family a little bit stronger, because you become exposed to things that you wouldn't have been exposed to. And I think it just makes the whole family richer when you do that.